Good evening. If everyone can take their seats, please. We're ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. We're live on KCLV Channel 2, and this meeting will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., the following Monday at midnight, Tuesday at 5 a.m., and Thursday at 6 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Chair Evans.
Present.
Vice Chair Trowbridge.
Present.
Commissioner Goins.
Present.
Commissioner Truesdale.
Present.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Flangus.
Here.
Commissioner Moody.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call to your attention the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions in the appeal and review process if appropriate. Due to the closure of city offices on Friday, beginning in January of 2011, the appeal period for Planning Commission meetings that have been rescheduled to Tuesday nights will be extended to the Monday following the 10th day, which is a Friday. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting, and I thank you very much. Any items from the Planning Commission staff and or the applicant wish to be stricken or held in abeyance to a future meeting may be brought forward and acted upon at this time. Let's move on to our housekeeping items. Are there any items that commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action? Staff?
Mr. Chairman, item number 5, the applicant has requested that this item be obeyed to the March 8th Planning Commission meeting.
Very good. Item 5, there has been a recommendation for an abeyance. I'd entertain a motion.
Just like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the deletion of item 5 being held in abeyance.
Before we, the motion's been called for, but before we do that, did anyone want to speak on any of these items regarding their ability to be held? Seeing none, I'll open and close the public hearing, and I believe we have a motion on the floor. Motion to obey is recommended. Please cast your vote. And that passes. That will be heard, Mr. Director.
That item is just being held in abeyance.
Just held in abeyance for an indefinite period.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you. The following items are those that may have been considered, or we may consider in one motion and one vote. They are considered generally routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public and non-public hearing items will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. We have item number 6, ZON 40469. The applicant and the owner is the City of Las Vegas. It is RE Residential Estates. It proposed to TC Town Center, Suburban Mixed Use Town Center. It's Ward 6, and the staff recommends approval. On item number 7, on the one motion, one vote, a zoning action, ZON 40478. The applicant is the City of Las Vegas, the owner USA, from C2 General Commercial to CV Civic at 333 South Las Vegas Boulevard, and the staff also recommends approval. Item number 8, ZON 40496. The applicant, the owner, is the City of Las Vegas. It's an action to from C1 limited commercial to change to CV Civic at 900 South Durango in Ward 2. Once again, one motion, one vote. The staff is recommending approval. Agenda item number 9, RQR 40454. The applicant is Large Properties, Inc., the owner, Restaurant Row, LLC. It's a review which allowed a 61-foot tall, 14-foot by 48-foot triple-sided off-premise billboard where a maximum double-face sign is allowed at 1991 North Rainbow Boulevard in Ward 5. And once again, staff recommending approval on one motion, one vote. Agenda item number 10, SUP 40115. The applicant is Downtown Bodega, Inc., the owner, Retail 110, Inc. It's a request for a beer, wine, cooler, off-sale establishment within a proposed 1,370 square foot convenience store at 900 South Las Vegas Boulevard, suite number 120 in Ward 3. Once again, the staff is recommending approval. Agenda item number 11, a special use permit 40647. The applicant, Future Smiles. The owner is the School Board of Trustees for a social service provider at 3074 Arville Street in Ward 1. Once again, staff recommending approval. And finally, on the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda, agenda item number 12 is a vacation VAC 40649. The applicant and the owner is the City of Las Vegas. It's a petition to vacate public right-of-way between Stewart Avenue and Mesquite Avenue to include 7th Street, an unnamed alley west of 7th Street, and that's in Ward 5. And finally, once again, the staff is recommending approval. Any questions or comments? Anyone from the public wish to speak on these items? Open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Seeing no discussion, I'm ready to make a motion on the one motion, one vote. Make a recommendation for approval with the acknowledgement that the staff report in agreements with its findings. So I'd recommend approval subject to all conditions where appropriate.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. If everyone would please cast your vote. And those pass. Mr. Director?
Yes. Items number 9, 10, and 11 will be final action. Items number 6, 7, 8, and 12 will be forwarded to the City Council meeting of March the 16th. And just to clarify, item number 5 was held in abeyance to the March 8th Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you very much. We now move on to our public hearing items. Agenda item number 13, GPA 40401. The applicant and owner is the City of Las Vegas. It's a request to adopt an updated land use element. The staff recommends approval. Can we get a report from the staff, please?
Mr. Chairman, this action is required as part of the Unified Development Code. The purpose of the change includes several of the zoning district changes, which included the elimination of the RA ranch acreage, RD single-family residential district, the RPD residential plan development, CPP planned business park, NS neighborhood services TD traditional development districts, and the merger of the R4 high-density residential and the R5 apartment categories into a single district. A new district, RTH, single-family attached, was created. Additionally, the PR professional office and parking district was renamed to PO professional office. Also, the changes as part of this in the community design element, recommendation number 2 was changed to the use form-based code to improve community design standards, and the conservation element was amended in such a way that the city, it now reads, the city shall ensure that its land use classification system and zoning contain mechanism to allow for the ready development of 2 to 4 unit housing projects on appropriate sites. Staff recommends approval. If there are any questions, myself or the director will be happy to try and answer them.
Thank you very much. This was advertised as a public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on this item? And if so, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Seeing no discussion, I'm ready to make a motion in regarding item number 13, which is General Plan Amendment 40401. Make a recommendation for approval.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. And that passes.
And this item will be forwarded to the March 16th City Council meeting.
Thank you. Agenda item number 14, variance 39813. The applicant is Greystone Nevada LLC. The owner is Ms. Rialto Cliffs Edge Nevada LLC. It's a petition to allow a 3-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required and a 3-foot rear yard setback for 50% of the structure with a 7-foot setback for the remaining half where 10 feet or 50% of the structure with 15 feet for the remaining half is required for 31 interior and perimeter lots at the northwest corner of Elkhorn Road and Egan Crest Drive. It's a planned development zone in Ward 6, and there's a note that this application has been amended to allow a 3-foot rear yard setback for 75% of the structure where 50% is required for 44 lots. And the staff is recommending denial of this item. The staff, can we have a report, please?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, this item was held in advance to allow the applicant to host the neighborhood meeting. 2 members of the public did attend the neighborhood meeting, and they didn't have any concerns about the request. Staff notes that this hardship is a self-imposed hardship and recommends denial. If the application is denied, the residential subdivision will continue to develop with the approved model home plans that comply with the established setbacks.
Thank you very much. And you're the applicant. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Name is Robert Johnson. Address is 2490 Paseo Verde Parkway, Henderson, Nevada 89074. I'd just like to clarify the request. First of all, that, as it stated, that this application has gone through some changes, and the only request that is before this board tonight is the very last part, which is we're requesting that the rear yard setback, the minimum of 3 feet, be allowed. We're actually modified that to 60% of the house, where 50% is required. That is all we're asking for with this application. So I wanted to clarify that first and foremost. I'll try to lean over here, but keep my voice going. This part of the home is supposed to jog at 50%. We need an extra 3 feet 5 inches to really keep this, this dining space workable. So that's what the request is. It's for an additional 3 foot 5 inches across the back of the home, which actually equates to 60% of the rear home. As staff indicated, we did have our neighborhood meeting. There were 2 residents. I believe one of them had written in protest originally. We had a good opportunity to explain and clarify what the request was, and I believe both attendees were fine with our request when they left.
Thank you very much. This, too, was advertised as a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item? Anyone? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Moody.
thank you.
Commissioner Moody.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson. First of all, let me thank you for having a neighborhood meeting and making the concessions that you have here. Can you explain, with this additional 3 feet that you need, which takes it down from 75% to 60% of the structure, have you been able to make up any of that difference between the wall and the house?
Yes, what we did to help offset the request is, the minimum setbacks are 3 foot to this portion of the house and 7 foot to this portion of the house for this use. We've actually increased the courtyard depth to 12.5 feet from the rear property line. So just to help improve and as a concession to the request, that's one thing that we did to help offset that.
Mr. Chairman, if I can continue with a few more questions.
Absolutely.
Mr. Johnson, of the 44 lots that this would apply to, how many of those do you anticipate actually having the 60% setback?
Well, this is one floor plan that we would like to add to the existing mix that's out there. So there's 4 other floor plans that are still active. This one, we're trying to incorporate a full-depth two-car driveway where the other plans do not have that currently. So, any regular mix, it certainly won't be on all 44 home sites. In fact, per design criteria, once you plot one, you can't plot one on either side or directly across. So it will be some percentage of those 44 home sites. As we discussed, if this board wanted to limit the total number that we could permit, we would be fine with that. I think we had discussed about 15 is an estimate, just really based on the popularity of the plan.
And my final question is, are there some homes that have already been built that maybe did not expect this type of lot behind them that you can convince us will not be affected?
Yes. Where these are hatched are existing homes, and these homes, we would not build this home on against any existing. We're not proposing to build them along the Paseo. Directly to our west is a water district reservoir facility. So the home sites that we would build this plan on would only be purely internal and would not abut against any existing homes that are already built, or the Paseo.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comment from any of the other commissioners?
Yes, if I
Commissioner
may,
Trowbridge?
please. Is this, I can't tell from the material that was submitted, is that a two-story home?
It is a two-story home, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll seek a motion.
Mr. Chairman, with no other questions, I will move for approval subject to staff's conditions.
Mr. Chairman, staff would like to amend condition number 3 to read this approval, a 3-foot rear yard setback for 60% of the structure, and amend 75% to 60%.
And Commissioner Moody, I'm assuming that you found the applicant's testimony and explanation in the neighborhood meeting to be compelling, and to the extent that a motion for approval would be appropriate.
I did, and I will renew my motion subject to the amended conditions as stated.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate you working with everyone. We have a motion for approval subject to the amended conditions and all the other conditions of the staff. Please cast your vote. And that too passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to agenda item number 15. And that's a variance, VAR 40107. The applicant is, the owner is Jason J. Rosa M. Aganet, to allow an existing 14-foot high, 1,750 square foot accessory structure, Class 2, that's not aesthetically compatible, it's made of plywood, with the main dwelling, which is made of stucco, where a 12-foot high, 830 square foot accessory structure, Class 2, is allowed at 5400 Bat Masterson Circle in Ward 6. The staff is recommending denial. Can we get a report from the staff, please?
Mr. Chairman, this item was held to allow the applicant to host an additional neighborhood meeting. Members of the public who attended had no concern with the request that the proper permits were obtained. The applicant has revised the plans. The existing non-permitted structure will either be moved or removed. The new proposed structure is to be placed to the west. The setbacks will be 5 feet from the north property line and 5 feet from the west property line, which do meet code. Staff cannot support the variance request as the applicant has not provided compelling evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the property and has created a self-imposed hardship. As such, staff is recommending denial.
Could you state your name and address for the record and then tell us why you...
Jason Anjanette, 5400 Pat Masterson, homeowner. As you guys requested to hold another meeting, I did. The idea of relocating it was an idea on my behalf to try to satisfy two of the neighbors that can see it. By relocating it, it's out of view of one, and my neighbor directly to the east of me, it's pretty much out of their view too, or any obstruction. And as far as the looks of it and so forth, it is going to be sheeted with the T111 siding, which is painted to match the house. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
This was advertised as a public hearing. Did anyone wish to speak on this item? If so, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Anyone? Commissioner Williams?
How'd your neighborhood meeting go?
Well, I had more people from the city there attending it than neighbors. The only neighbors that I had that attended were for it, which was Nora, the president and vice president, Mrs. Thaxton, Mr. Moody, and Mr. Rankin. No objections to it.
Thank you.
Through you, sir.
Commissioner Quinn?
You do understand that by building something like this, it sets a precedent for another neighbor to come to us, and if we tell you yes, then we have to say yes to the next guy, and pretty soon you're going to have what looks to me like almost like a warehouse in your yard, and it's hard for me to look you in the eye and say, go ahead and build it, because I'm sure you're going to do something fine with it, and then have your next neighbor come up, and pretty soon we've got structures in the yard and there are no more homes. So you will not see my support on this item tonight. And I did drive by it, and I did look around, and I did my due diligence for you, sir, but I can't support you tonight.
And I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I mean, that's why I purchased the house and the lot, because of the neighbors. They've all got similar buildings, that are non-compatible, similar size, and that's why I did purchase the house and property for that same reason. And the same proposal, the landscape plans and so forth. I plan to hide it as much as I can with Italian cypresses and trees and ivy and so forth. I mean, I respect your.
It's none of my business, but what are you going to be doing in there?
I mean, I'm into several hobbies, recreational vehicles.
Oh,
I've got an RV, trailers,
Right.
quads. I mean, it's
Right.
strictly a storage. I mean, and the plans and everything, there is no plumbing, electrical, nothing like that.
Okay. Thank you. It's
gonna
really
help.
none of my business.
Yeah.
I
No,
just
but I mean,
thought
that's what
I'd
it is.
ask.
I have a 3-car garage to do anything that I need to do in a garage.
Okay,
It's
thank
strictly
you.
to store.
Commissioner Moody?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Anjanette, let me thank you for holding the neighborhood meeting and tell you what my concerns are. Although you have agreed to move this, and that will cure, I think, 2 of the neighbors' complaints about the setback, the truth of the matter is you're just moving the structure as it's been built already to another part of your yard. And the fact is, it's still not going to be aesthetically compatible because of the materials that you've chosen to use. I think this has been a pretty high learning curve for you, gaining some experience as to what to do the next time you do this. And although you're not going to have my support for this tonight, what I would suggest is that you find a way to reuse some of that expensive lumber that you've had and come back and seek a permit that would be allowed under the current code. And I think the city would be happy to work with you on that.
Any further comment? I do have one question, if you don't mind. And is it visible from the street?
That it is, from Craig.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we're ready for a motion, if anyone would like to make an attempt at that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my motion is to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
We have a motion for denial. Any further discussion? Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote. A yes vote is for the denial. And that is denied.
And
as
this,
far as the appeal process, I'm sorry?
yes, this item is final action. In the absence of an appeal, appeals can be filed with the city clerk's office.
Okay.
Commissioner Moody, can you once again reiterate what gentleman's options are? I think you had made a suggestion that he may want to consider changing his plan. And
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the city doesn't want you to build this a structure. They don't want you to build this structure the way it's been built. I mean, this plywood that you've placed on it isn't going to last under Las Vegas weather conditions, and I know you want to coat it with some things, but you've got to bring it down a little bit. You've got to use some different materials, and I would encourage you to go in and pull the permit first before you try and do this. And I think the city can help you, and you can reuse some of the materials that you bought already to do that.
If I may comment, now, as far as the building's not sided, I don't know if you're suggesting or assuming that what you see is the siding. That isn't it. That's the interior of the building. The siding has not been put up. And the siding is exactly what is to the west 3 neighbors of my house, the same thing. I mean, you're telling me you guys are going to work with me, but the size of the structure is what I need. That's what I'm after. So, I mean, you're not making a request to make it stucco. You're telling me comply, which is 800 square feet.
Well, perhaps you can get together with the staff and see if there are options for your. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you. We move on to agenda item number 16, the special use permit 39963. The applicant, the owner, is Foster Daycare, Inc., to reestablish an abandoned car wash, self-service use with waivers to allow opening of the wash bays to face public rights of way, to allow a 0-foot distance separation from a residential property where a minimum of 200 feet is required, and to allow the use not to be operated in conjunction with another motor vehicle related use at 7501 Alta Drive in Ward 1. The staff is recommending approval. Can we get a report from the staff, please?
Mr. Chairman, this item was also held in abeyance to allow the applicant an opportunity to host a neighborhood meeting. Members of the public who attended the meeting had no concerns with the request if the screen wall were raised. The applicant has worked with the abutting residential owners to raise that wall. Staff finds the use as conditioned to be compatible with the surrounding properties and recommends approval.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address for the record and briefly state your case.
Roger Foster, 2560 Red Arrow Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89135. I'm in agreement with the staff recommendation. We had the neighborhood meeting. I believe there was no negative comments there. Met with the commissioner out at the site. I think that she's in agreement with it now. If it's up to you, I'm ready to move forward.
And the conditions that the staff imposed, you agree with those?
I do.
Very good. Thank you very much. This, too, was advertised as a public hearing. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing one, please come forward. And if you could step back just a moment. Come on in, ma'am. If you could state your name and address for the record and let us know what your concerns are, please.
Hi, my name is Adele Van, V as in Vegas, A-N. I live directly behind the car wash, and yes, I have been in agreement for this car wash, but I had a couple questions. Mr. Foster is raising my block wall. He's already given me money to pay the workers that do it and whatever. I need to know the hours of operation.
Okay, we can get that for you.
Oh, I mean, it is a residential area, and we do expect it to close it, open and close at a reasonable time.
Mr. Rankin, is the hours of operation listed in the conditions?
Yes, they are. They're from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, that's all I wondered.
That's your only concern? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And commissioners?
Yeah, I just want to say that Mr. Foster was a little surprised when I held it, but it was because of the encroachment into that neighborhood. And so we saw eye to eye on everything except the smog check, which I see here again that you're asking that you're going to like to do smog inspections back there. Is that?
We're not asking for any other use other than the self-serve car wash.
That's it, because in your justification letter, it does say the smog check. So, okay. And then the other thing, I guess it's it. You're willing to maintain the south landscaping. You're willing to keep the trees cut. I mean, you just met us all the way, and I appreciate it. I'm sorry I held you up a couple
I hope
minutes.
that you won't have any complaints, and I don't think you will.
Oh, one more thing. I really want that recycled trash can.
Yes, ma'am.
55-gallon. You just put recycle on it, and I think it's a nice thing to start for the community where people, instead of throwing it in the garbage, maybe somebody walks by and just can take a bag out and clear it. And if it doesn't work after 6 months, get rid of it. But
We will have that there.
I think it would be a nice thing to start. So
Okay.
thank you, and I will follow staff's recommendations with approval, but I would like a 1-year review. Is that Doug, what you suggest?
While he's looking for that, and I'll come right back, Commissioner Goins, you
Yeah,
had a comment before we go to a motion?
Not a comment, just a disclosure that I made during the last portion. I've known Mr. Foster for a number of years. My wife and his wife have worked in the mortgage industry. They are with different companies now, and so I feel that I can vote on this item.
Very good, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, to answer through you the question, yes, there is a 1-year administrative review on this after the issuance of the business license.
And Commissioner Quinn, that meets your approval? Well, I'm ready for a motion, I believe.
Abeyance SUP 39963, following all of staff's recommendations. And thank you very much, Mr. Foster.
Thank you.
I think we have a motion on the floor, and if everyone would please cast your vote, I would appreciate it.
And Mr. Chairman, I think when you read that in, you said Foster Day Care. But just for
Foster Day, yes,
yeah, just
okay.
for clarification, it's Foster Day.
Foster Day.
Maybe we ought to call it Foster Day Car Care. I don't know.
There you go. Thank you very much.
I don't know how that daycare gets there, but everywhere I go, it follows me, so I just go with it.
Has everyone cast their vote? Madam Clerk, if you could post.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And that passes.
And this item will go forward to the March 16th City Council meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 17 is variance 40375. The applicant and the owner is the Catano di Angelo, and the request is to allow 8 parking spaces where 48 are required at 2700 and 2770 Highland Drive in Ward 1. The staff recommends denial of the variance. Related items, agenda number 18, VAR 40543. That's a request to allow a 0-foot front and side yard setback where 10 feet is required in Ward 1. The staff is recommending denial of that item. And the third companion item, agenda item number 19, is our site development review 40374, and that's a request to convert an existing warehouse into a 45,398 square foot wholesale showroom facility with a waiver to allow no perimeter landscape buffer where 8 feet is required. And all of those are in Ward 1, and the staff recommends denial of that as well.
Mr. Chairman, sir, excuse me, I'm going
Yes.
to have to abstain on these as we own a building right next door to this applicant.
Very good.
Thank
If
you.
the clerk would note Commissioner Quinn's abstention and reasoning, and if we could get a report from the staff, please.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to convert an existing warehouse into a wholesale showroom facility with additional floor area to be utilized for private parties to showcase the applicant's wines for vendors and for loading docks. The increase in floor area will result in both an increase in the number of parking spaces required as well as a reduction in the number of parking spaces provided, leaving only 8 parking spaces on the site where 48 are required. Enclosed loading docks will be added to the east and west sides of the building to allow for 2 tenant spaces within the building. The addition of the loading docks limits parking to the west side only, with no parking provided for a future tenant on the east side. Staff is recommending denial of all requests because the applicant is proposing to overbuild the site, as is evidenced by the requested variances, waivers, and exceptions, and has provided no evidence of unique or extraordinary circumstances pursuant to Title 19-18-070L that would substantiate the variance requests. Please note that there are additional letters of protest for these items since publication.
Thank you very much. You're the applicant. If you could state your name and address for the record and state your case.
Yes, Mr. Gaetano is the applicant, and he is unfortunately not here because he had death in the family and he's at a funeral today.
And you are?
I'm his representative, project manager. My name is Ron Fadnis, and my address is 67 Cedarwood Avenue, Duarte, California.
Thank you. And before you leave, can you make sure that we have the spelling, you get the spelling of your name for the clerk?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will.
And if you could state the case for the applicant, we would appreciate it.
Yes. Before I start, I want to give you a little background about Mr. Gaetano. You may not know who he is and the type of business. Is this where I keep those things so that it shows?
I think you put it right there and the clerk can assist you.
Right here?
You should see some
Oh,
marks
okay.
right there
Okay, I
and just
see.
set it there, and there's a
Okay.
camera right above.
This is his brochure. He is a wine. He is the biggest Italian wine importer in the United States. He's a very well-known entity as a wine importer. He
And
has
he
about.
brings samples.
Yes, he brought a bunch of brochures for you.
Okay.
Not the
thank you.
real samples. This is one of his wines. These are his name. His name is on the wines, by the
Okay.
way.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I didn't bring the real thing, but I brought the paper today. These are different wines. I'm just showing you the quality of wines he has. And these are like 50 different wines that he has. This is actually his brochure that I brought for you. He has his winery also in Italy. He has an office in Rome. He has distribution in Canada, Mexico City, and he's expanding. He's already also in Vegas. He has a wine warehouse on Wind Road, by the way. So Mr. Gaetano is a known entity in the wine industry, and he really believes he's really an art lover, and he's a really a wonderful man. If you meet him, you want him as a friend. That's all I can tell you. This is his office in California. That's his headquarters. He lives in California. So this is his corporate office, and this is one of his warehouses. That's just something that I wanted to share with you. The point I want to make is, and I want to get right to the findings and the issues that are listed in the staff report on page number. I think it's page. I don't know what page number, but the first issue is variance is required to allow 8 parking spaces where 48 are required. I talked to Mr. Gaetano, and I got a letter from him that I brought here today. That tells you about his current warehouses and how many people really are required to operate. His corporate headquarters in California has 3 employees. No customers walk in there. He's a wholesaler. He imports wine. It's all done by computer, phone calls, emails, and wine goes from Italy to Bellagio. It goes to casinos. It goes to Walmart. It goes to Price Club, everywhere, all over the country. His Las Vegas warehouse on Wind Road has 1 employee, no walk-in customers. So they don't have really a in and out traffic. It's not a retail operation. Okay. And third is. So those are the 2 warehouses he has currently, and I just wanted to share that information with you. Now, that being the case, the other thing I wanted to share was the front of the building today is on the left-hand side, and on the top, I guess, is better, how it looks today, and below is what is proposed. We are creating a look like a winery in Italy. The building which is run down, it is really vandalized. If you go there today, most of you must have gone down and looked at the building. Today, other than the walls, everything is stolen from that building. Everything that could be ripped out has been ripped out. The pipes, the outlets, the fixtures, the switchgear, people have come in and ransacked that building. He is creating a tremendous, it's like a piece of jewel he's going to create here. And it's just a warehouse. He doesn't have an operation which has a lot of parties. Now we'll deal with the party situation in a minute. But strictly, they have wines coming in and going out. The only reason we are adding these loading docks is today you need a covered loading dock. The Las Vegas weather is hot and cold, so the wines have to be stored at a 55-degree temperature. This building will be insulated like a big cold box. So he's going to put in a lot of money in the building. And even the loading docks will be insulated. So he cannot have just open loading coming in and going up. So when the truck comes in, goes into a kind of a cool storage, goes into the building.
May I ask you,
Yes.
please, Is the showroom going to be used for wine tastings or?
Okay, there is no showroom here. There is probably a misunderstanding. If you look at my building plans, the plans that are designed, I don't know whether you can come up with the plans, please. Okay, this shows the existing building as a rectangle, and the right and the left are the extension of loading docks. If you go to the next, okay, the plan view, please. You have a plan view, right? A floor plan view? Okay, I will explain to you. On the floor plan, on the ground level, you have an entrance and an elevator to go to the upper level, which we are adding right now. Entrance is on the left-hand side, just where it was currently is. If you look at the old building, that's where the entrance is. Well, you can't see my pictures now, but in the same place we are keeping the main entry. So downstairs is all warehouse. In the back portion of the building, there is no second floor. Only on the front portion there is a small area with offices, for his own offices, and the third roof level is where he has put in some lounge area to have some security guard area. Actually, the security guard says there will be a 24/7 security guard here. He has a lot of wines, some expensive wines here. He will have maybe once a month distributors or people invited from all over the country, not somebody that is driving locally from down the street, that will be picked up from airport, dropped off by limousine or a taxi. So it's not going to be parking intensive, although according to the parking, the area I'm showing as parking, the staff is right. That is what is required. So what staff is saying, I'm not disputing that. But the reality is, it is not a place where people are going to come in, park, and have a big party. So I wanted to explain that to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so that clarifies that issue. The next is variance is required to allow a 0-foot front and side yard setback. Let's look at the entire site. I have the entire site here. Thank you for the plans. Thank you. This is the entire site. If you can see the buildings, this whole plaza is kind of built and subdivided in the 50s. This was not done as a subdivision where you have these buildings stacked behind each other. If you see that all of them have zero lot line. They're all built to the property line. All these buildings, old buildings, are built to the property line. If you look at our building in front of us, they're wall to wall on property line. So if we build our building 20 feet away, it just creates a no man's land behind where it could be a vandalism issue. We will create a built-in problem than making it nice just to comply with the planning issue. So we are trying to not just avoid complying, but to create a nicer building and it's useful building. These loading docks make it a useful building. If we don't have a loading and just an open dock, it doesn't work. The wine merchants like Trader Joe's, they don't want to take the building. They don't want to store their wines here. I mean, he's negotiating with people and his wholesale customers are telling them what to do. So that's partly why we are saying that we want to go to zero lot line. The next is landscaping. If you look at this whole plaza again, this is not like a subdivision where you have 5-foot yard all around, you have trees everywhere, and we are not doing anything about it. There is nothing on this lot. Now, if you look at our design, we are adding landscape planters at the main entry. It will be beautiful main entry with landscaping in the front and all along the frontage with palm trees and some nice landscaping. That will be only building in this entire plaza that will have some greenery in it, the way it is designed. So believe me, it will be almost a landmark in that area if you allow us to build this building. Granted, it doesn't meet by the book, the planning code, and I totally respect the staff, and I'm totally in agreement with their comments. So it's not a fight with the staff. I'm just appealing to you as a commission that look at it objectively.
Okay.
And see if it makes sense to you.
Thank you very much.
Landscaping, I think I covered all the issues. You have any questions for me?
We're going to open a public hearing, and if the commissioners have questions, we'll call you back.
Stay here.
You could just be seated or step back if you would, if people come to speak. If not, this is advertised as a public hearing. Anyone want to speak? Gentlemen, please come forward. State your name clearly for the record. Briefly state your case. We appreciate it.
I'm John J. Herda, 6120 South Torrey Pines Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada 89118. I'm the president of NYP Corporation.
Very good. And did you want to speak on this item, or are you gentlemen together?
No, we're together.
Okay,
I'm
if you
James
can speak
Turner.
one at a time, then. Go ahead, put your name on the record.
James Turner, 310 Radwig Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110. I'm here to represent the NYP Corporation, the owner of the parcels to the north and west of the applicant. The north parcel being where the applicant has an easement of ingress and egress, which is this parcel across here. They did send in opposition to this plan and are here to voice their concerns about the proposal to remove parking from the parcels and increase the need. They are in full agreement with staff recommendations for denial, as the alternate design would allow this future business to open without overbuilding their property and placing a possible burden on the surrounding areas. Also, NYP Corporation sold this parcel originally to another person, Ready Spuds, in August of 1993 and placed a deed restriction into the deed that still exists today that says that parcel 003 to the west of his building may be used for public parking only of all of the people in the area. So for him to build anything on that would be a violation of the deed restriction. Thank you.
Thank you. And sir, did you want to say anything or echo the gentleman's comments? Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Sir, did you want to come back and did you have a comment, or shall we just open it up for the commissioners at this time? All right. Thank you. Close the public hearing. And gentlemen, Commissioner Trowbridge.
Well, I've got essentially two questions. One, I'll ask it and delay an answer until the DA has an opportunity to speak. You know, is it an appropriate activity for the Planning Commission to be in the position of trying to enforce a deed restriction? The other question that I have, and I'm giving the DA a chance to think of a response. The other question I have is in relationship to fencing around the property. I thought I read someplace in these three documents that you had intended to put in razor wire or
No.
barbed wire.
No razor wire, nothing.
Nothing like that. It's just going to be.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. Thank you. Now.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
What was brought up was the asserted existence of a private deed restriction on this property. This is not the forum, and you are not the commission that would decide ultimately if the deed restriction is valid or not. I'm advising you that you can move forward and take action as you see fit, with one caveat. If in fact this item were approved and the deed restriction was upheld, there could be some issues with regard to construction of this site.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Trowbridge, were you finished?
Well, prompts one more question. You mentioned someplace in this document about you're going to prepare the entire parcel, but you're setting it up so that a remnant piece or a remnant portion of the building could be subleased at another time?
Okay, the way
that just is leaving us in a position of buying a pig in a poke, so to speak, where we don't know how much parking might be required for this unknown square footage and unknown purpose.
The building shows entrance on the south and the north side with a existing wall which is there. It's not built, it's already there. And we are going to, currently the owners want to use the whole area. But if they, let's say they have a windrow warehouse and this is half of it is adequate, they wanted flexibility to have half of it given to somebody which is again not a retail but just a warehouse type person where this is not going to increase any parking demand. So you can put in the conditions that that type of use will be allowed or whatever. But that is not supposed to be a retail operation or warehouse where you have furniture warehouse and you have sale every Sunday and people are coming and going and parking there.
I understand, but could we somehow condition this so that that parcel, the secondary use of any unused square footage have to come back to the planning commission? Because while it's not retail, maybe you'd want to put in a phone bank and have 100 people there operating a phone call center. And now all of a sudden we've got a significant parking problem.
Mr. Chairman, through you, if there was a use that required additional parking, that would require a variance. So if they came in for a business license for a phone bank, that parking is more intense than a warehouse. The business license would be denied pending an approved variance by this board. So you would get it to see it.
Just a couple of questions. At first, it was advertised as a wholesale showroom facility, and I think the applicant said it's not a showroom. So I'm wondering, is he applying? Is he making a proper application? And my next question would be that the roof is being modified to invite clients to congregate for wine tasting events throughout the year. And so that leads me to think, I just watched the Super Bowl and watched an awful lot of Bud Light commercials with partying going on. So that leads me to think that, you're going to have people on the roof. You're at a wine wholesale place. You're telling me it's not open to the public.
No.
But yet you want an option to lease half of the space at a later date. What's going to happen at a later date, and where are you going to lease that space for what type of activity?
As I said before, when Commissioner Trowbridge asked me the question, Mr. Gaetano, and I wish he was here, and as I said, unfortunately he couldn't be here. I really needed him to be here today, so I'm trying to carry the whole ball myself. And so forgive me if I can't give you the straight answer, but his intention is to lease it to similar use, which will not increase any demand on parking, because the city will not allow parking. It's already a huge variance as it is. And the variance is, we won't even use 9 cars that are shown on the plan.
What's that square footage of that
the terrace
space,
is...
the space to be leased at a later date?
That is 11,122 square feet.
So at 11,000 square feet, to me that sounds like, that's all night.
Pardon me?
That sounds like an all-night event. That sounds like...
No. That's downstairs for leasing. You're talking about the roof, party area?
I'm talking about downstairs for leasing.
Yeah, that's not a party area. That's just a warehouse area. Downstairs is a warehouse area.
Yeah, but you say you have this space to lease for a later date. How much is that square footage is that space?
I'm not understanding your question, maybe. The total building is 22,000 square feet, roughly.
32,000 square feet.
22,000.
Okay.
11, roughly.
How much space is on the top for the outdoor activity?
Okay. That space is 16,000 square feet is a terrace level space for party area. It's shown on the roof plan, in this plan here.
Okay. And it says the option to lease out half of the space at a later...
No, not that space, not this space.
Which space is that?
We're talking about downstairs on the ground level.
And what's that square footage?
That is 11,000 square feet. That's half of the building.
So how are you going to accommodate parking if you're going to lease that out? You don't have the parking.
Exactly. So that was the question that was asked before, and that's a good question. My understanding is that use will have to be similar to what he has, so that doesn't increase the parking.
And so what I heard from staff is whatever they want to do there, they're going to have to come through
to the city
business
for
license
license
if it's other than...
You can deny it. I mean,
Well, to clarify through you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if they came, if the variance were granted for the site plan as proposed, and they changed ownership of half the building, or a new business came in that was a warehouse facility, that would be allowed. It wouldn't increase the demand for parking. If it was a use that required additional parking, that would require a new variance.
So any use other than a warehouse with limited parking would require additional zoning action from this body?
Correct. The warehouse is the least intense parking category we have. It's 1 per 1,000, and there is no category with a less parking requirement. So anything more.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Goins, have you concluded?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner?
Sir, I heard you mention before you've got this covered loading dock or internal loading dock,
Yes.
and the reason is because you need to keep the temperature constant for picking up the wine and taking it out of there. Is that correct?
But he wants to maintain the quality of wine, so getting them in and storing it, yes.
So is that first floor kind of a temperature-controlled area in the warehouse?
Entire
Meaning-
warehouse will be temperature controlled.
I mean, it's not suitable for an office.
No.
It's really kind of an
It's a cold box.
It's like a big
Right,
refrigerator.
all
on the-
walls will have insulation.
Yeah, but let me finish
I'm
before
sorry.
you start talking,
I'm
please,
sorry.
and that
I'm
way we're
sorry.
not talking over each
I
other.
apologize.
So downstairs, it's just all like a large refrigerator. The trucks come in, the temperature remains constant, they load up or unload or whatever the case may be, and they go out the other side. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
And then in the first floor, then, it would only be suitable for this type of operation. Am I correct in that
Yes.
statement?
Yes.
You couldn't put an office down there because it would be too cold.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, Chairman Demetrius?
You've got this warehouse.
Yes.
And it could be a cold box today, but if we grant a variance, you could put more employees in there. I mean, it could be converted into office, or some office, up to 40 people. I mean, he's asking for almost 40-car variance.
A change from warehouse to office parks at 1 per 300, and it would require an additional variance for parking.
But what I'm getting at is if he turns the temperature up in the warehouse and has people meeting there just distributing work, vans to pick up wine, I mean, there could be more people there. I mean, I know you're saying that's not what's happening, and I'm sure the applicant is a wonderful individual, but you also have a rooftop that's 16,000 feet.
Right.
At 35, 40 square feet per person in a cocktail setting, I mean, you could have 450 people show up here. And that may be only once in a while, but what kind of burden does that put on the property? There's no, I mean, I understand the variance for the warehouse, but we're forgetting entirely about this wine tasting area that is, I mean, it's not small. 16,000 feet is a huge area. That's quite a few of these rooms here. So I don't understand how you're not burdening the adjacent property, how we could even conceivably approve of a variance like this, because just if you had delivery trucks and they all drove a car to work, it doesn't hold with, you're saying they may have one employee, but how many delivery trucks come and go? And if you have delivery trucks out there delivering that wine to Bellagio, if I'm a worker and I drive my car to work and I pick up the delivery truck there that's designed to carry the wine, I'm going to leave my car someplace. So, and
I want to answer those questions.
no, I would,
want
but
to wait until you're done.
I wanted to give you, these are the problems I have with your application.
May I
Yes, please.
respond? Okay. First of all, you said that, if I understood correctly, that there could be a lot of people here and a lot of cars. As I stated before, and once again, Mr. Gaetano is not here, I'm speaking on his behalf, but my understanding is the guests that will come will be new wholesale, they're introducing new wine that they're bringing to the market. So they will invite representatives from Bellagio or some other casinos, and let's say there are 50 people invited, they will be dropped off and then, but locally, it's not really local. He has people all over the place that will be coming. Local people is not what he's looking for. He wants to invite people from all over. He has visitors from Italy, for example. I mean, he has different visitors, and they come, and he wants a place where he can introduce new wines. That's really it's not meant to be people come there and park. We are not going to do that. And that's going to be in the evening, maybe once a month. As application says, it's not every day. We have already said that.
But we have no way of policing that, is what I'm getting at. It could turn into something that's every night of the week.
Okay.
And
well, I'm sure the condition says no. City can enforce that.
I mean, how many enforcement people do we have on staff? I mean,
Okay. I understand. I fully understand. All I can tell you is the intention of the client. And I can't speak for the future, but that is the intent.
But, again, I'd like you to address, are there delivery vehicles for this wine, or does it just come in and mysteriously get delivered to the Bellagio?
Nobody comes there to pick up wines.
So how does it get to there?
Orders come to them on computer.
Right.
The supplies, the wine that comes there to store comes in whenever it comes in, and it's stored, and then it's delivered locally for this local area. I mean, their business
How's
is
it
growing.
delivered?
By 18-wheelers. No, customer doesn't come there to pick up wine, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying somebody comes there. I'm just saying you've got trucks coming to deliver wine there, and you have delivery trucks.
Okay, so I don't know how many trucks come every day or every week. We can give you information on that if you like.
I think the point is that the commissioners have some concerns. Anything further?
And one of my concerns is unlike the other locations you showed, this is Las Vegas. This is 24 hours a day. So they'll be going and coming at all hours of the day and night. And the concern is that, you mentioned some folks from the Bellagio or something may come over. I'm pretty sure they're going to drive. They're not going to come over there and get dropped off. So if you've got representatives from several properties around here just to come to do a monthly sampling, you're going to have 40 or 50 cars pulled into the parking lot for that period of time.
First of all, okay,
and then if it moves up to the rooftop, I mean, I just don't see how you're going to police it. I don't see how you're going to park it. I love the building. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice piece of architecture, but I think some of these other concerns have to be discussed and thought out.
Okay, sir, before you respond, perhaps you can respond to that question, and I'd like to frame this a little bit if I could. Did you want to respond to Commissioner Goins' question?
It's up to you. May I respond now or wait?
Go ahead now. I just want to make an observation and try to move this some direction.
What I'm trying to say is this is not meant for a party every week, every day, and invite local people. If people are coming, and again, I'm making a suggestion, is this is going to be in the evenings, one day maybe at night. There are not deliveries. We will valet park them in the back area here and keep our staff to keep the cars there and take them out within our property. We can valet park there for that evening, and then they will leave there. They are not going to go in somebody else's property. This is our property front and back. And they can be, I mean, if that becomes local, more local people come, there is a way to deal with it. And you could add that as a condition if you like. But we want to work with you, but find a way to do it.
And sir, that was my question, is these events that you would hold perhaps once a month for a small group of people. My question was, would that typically be at night? And at night, is that when the rest of the warehouse uses are fairly idle in the area?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
What I'm hearing from my fellow commissioners is at least 4, if not more, have concerns. And I'm not sure that if we take a vote right now, you're going to be pleased with the outcome. I'm wondering if there's any option that you may want to reconsider some aspect of the site design that would allow for additional parking, or would you consider some aspect of revision, or do you want us to call for a vote?
You know, we have worked with staff for a long time to try and come up with a design and with the client and so on. He bought this building with an intention of creating this, and as I said, I'm going to leave this brochure here with the staff just for you guys to for commissioners to look at his operation, just so you understand the level of faith he has in his business. And he wants this project as is approved, I guess. Okay. So
and I'm sure it's a good business model. I'm just not sure that you're going to be pleased with the outcome of
No,
the
that's
vote.
fine. Whatever you decide is okay with me. If you decide, it's up to you. But I have explained to you the use.
Okay. And I think we all understand your... have you had the opportunity to speak with the two gentlemen Who are your business neighbors who have issues and concerns?
Mr. Gaetano may have. I didn't know about that until this moment.
Okay. May I ask you gentlemen if you could just, by nodding your head, whether you've spoken with the applicant or had any discussions? Okay, they're answering in the negative, so.
We have no idea about the deed restriction. At least I don't know.
And my
I may have to ask
suggestion
Mr.
is if this moves forward one direction or another, you may want to reach out, and perhaps before you leave this evening, you can exchange information so that perhaps you can find some common
Yes.
ground.
Yes.
Did anyone else want to speak on this matter? Commissioner Trowbridge, perhaps you can
Thank you,
give us a
Mr.
little
Chair.
bit of direction.
I think that we've got a major issue that's hanging over this potential project, and that's the issue of an alleged violation of a deed restriction. I think that matter needs to be addressed elsewhere, because with the existence of that, you should really be going no place, because any investments or actions that you take will be in peril. Having said that, I think that you have presented a compelling argument that will result in what will be I feel would be a significant improvement into an area of town that's in need of cleaning up. I think it's an industrial area. I think that the improvements that you're planning to the area, to the building, I think the type of business you want to operate out of there is satisfactory. The potential for the rooftop to become a party facility, I think, is a real long shot. Occasional use doesn't scare me. To get 400 people at a wine tasting party on a evening is, I don't think it would happen. And I am convinced that what you're asking for here, the variances in an industrial area, while they may appear to be significant, really when you break them down, are not that significant to that building at that location at this time.
Okay.
And so I am ready to make a motion. Whether I'll be successful or not, I don't know, but I'm ready to make a motion in regards to item number 17, variance 40375, to support the request as presented, subject to all staff conditions.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Trowbridge, subject to all conditions. Everyone understands the motion. A yes vote would be for the approval. And we're taking them separately, I'm assuming. Agenda item number 17, the variance 40375. Motion for approval. Yes vote is for approval. Cast your vote. All the votes in. Madam Clerk, can you post? And it looks like we have a tie. Is that correct?
Correct.
With Commissioner Quinn abstaining.
Mr. Chair?
City Attorney, do we need a motion in the
The other
alternative?
way.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd go ahead and move to follow staff's recommendation. Are we taking these all in one or individual? And this was on item 17, move to follow staff's recommendation for denial. And the denial is, I think you can get there. I just think you need to do a little bit more work and a little more planning.
We have a new motion for denial on the same agenda item number 17. A yes vote would be for the denial of the application for the variance. Cast your vote, please. And once again, we have a tie. So
Chairman,
we move forward. Mr. Lewis, please.
Yeah, we just have no action on this item.
Director?
We'll go ahead and take action on the two following items, and these items will all be forwarded to City Council.
Very good.
As no action.
So I guess we just go back and forth with the alternative motion. So agenda item number 18, variance 40543. entertain a motion.
In regards to this particular item, item 18, I'd make a motion for approval, subject to all staff conditions.
Motion is for approval. Your yes vote is for approval. Please cast your vote. And that too is tied, so we'd have a motion in the alternative. Commissioner Goins?
I ought to ask him now, you have any wild Irish rose or any ripple?
I don't know.
You may get me to go
I
the
need
other
to do
way.
something, yeah.
You'll get-
I have to switch something. Help me out here.
Mr. Chairman, help a brother out, huh? I'll move for denial of item 18 following staff's recommendation.
We have a motion for denial on agenda item number 18. A yes vote would be for the denial. Cast your vote, please. Opposed? Once again, it ties, so
It moves forward with no recommendation.
moves forward with no recommendation. Agenda item number 19.
Regarding item 19, site development review 40374, make a recommendation for approval, subject to all staff conditions.
We have a motion.
Can I
on-
ask a question?
No, not yet. Let me finish, and then you can. We have a motion on the floor for approval of the site plan. A yes vote would be for the approval. Cast your vote. We have a different outcome. Did everyone vote accordingly? Yes?
Commissioner, I think I did hit the wrong button. I was voting no on that one.
Okay, can we have the record reflect that Commissioner Flangus voted no, so that would be a tie as well? And a motion in the alternative, Commissioner Goins.
Mr. Chairman, on item 19, move to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
Go ahead. Recommendation for denial on agenda item number 19. Yes vote is for the denial. Cast your vote.
I was going to see if he'd throw in a can of Planters peanuts and let me stand up on the roof.
Everyone voted. Cast your vote, and that too is tied. Director Fagg?
These items will go forward to the City Council meeting on March the 16th with a recommendation of no action.
Thank you. And sir, you had a question, but we had a motion on the floor. Did you want to ask the question?
I
at this
just
time?
got the answer.
Oh, you did?
What do I do at this point? And
Okay.
I just got the answer.
Thank you very much, and I think we all wish you well.
Thank you.
We move forward now to agenda item number 20, I believe. That's a variance 40419. The applicant and the owner is Richard and Roxanne Owens. It's to allow a 12-foot high perimeter block wall with 2 feet of razor wire on the top, where 8 feet is the maximum allowed, and to allow no contrasting material where a minimum of 20% is required at 1901 through 1917 Western Avenue. The staff recommends approval. If we could have the report from the staff, please.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant has provided evidence of unique or extraordinary circumstances pursuant to Title 1918-070 that substantiate the variance request, as the subject site is located adjacent to a railroad corridor. The additional requested height of the wall will help to mitigate the noise associated with the railroad and will also reduce the incidence of criminal activity occurring on and around the site. In addition, with the exception of approximately 10 feet of exposure, the proposed wall is not visible from the public right-of-way and will have a minimal impact on the surrounding area, as it has been designed to match the existing adjacent wall to the north for height and materials, including the addition of razor wire. Staff is recommending approval. Please note that there is an additional letter of protest for this item since publication. Public Works also has comments on this item.
Thank you, Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we would like to add a condition requiring that they leave wall openings at the wall adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad. And I would like to add a condition that says the applicant shall provide wall openings at regular intervals
along the wall adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad property for drainage purposes.
Thank you. So we have two additional conditions from Public Works, is that correct?
That's just one condition.
Just one condition?
Excuse me, Chairman Evans?
Yes.
I feel like Mr. Truesdale, but I'll have to abstain on this as we own property next to
Okay,
this as
very
well.
good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Quinn will be abstaining because of adjacent property, I'm assuming, within the notification area. Thank you very much. Did that conclude the staff report? Yes, thank you very much. You're the applicant, I'm assuming, if you could state your name and address for the record and tell us
Thank
why
you, Mr.
we
Chairman.
should push
and
the button.
Good evening to the Commissioners. My name is Brian Wolf with Cambridge Group, 1820 East Warm Springs, Suite 120, Las Vegas, 89119. We agree with the staff recommendations and with the new instated for the drainage. That's not a problem. We would like this wall to be as high as possible because of, A, for noise from the railroad tracks, B, for vandalism, and this is, I believe, Commissioner Trowbridge mentioned the razor wire on the last item. I believe he might be thinking of this one. But the razor wire is on the majority of the properties adjacent to the railroad tracks, and we feel is very vital to the security and the safety and the non-vandalism that's required for this property. So I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. This was advertised as a public hearing. Did anyone wish to speak on this item? If so, come forward. I see no one, so we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Yes. Just one question. Yes, this is the item with the razor wire. Thank you. I was ahead of myself.
Not trying to
The
point it out, but
the existing walls for the balance of the properties along there, that the back side is along the railroad tracks. Are they also 12-foot high walls?
yes, sir. And in your packet and also in this photograph, you can see the adjacent property. This is a 12-foot wall from ground to top, and the razor wire is up top. This property is our property, which currently has a chain link fence up to 8 feet and has been ripped away to encourage vandalism. So we'd like to match the adjacent property. Although it is vandalized on the railroad track sides, it looks really nice on the interior portion of the property, which we plan to do as well.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from Commissioner Dwight?
What can you do about all that graffiti?
On the railroad side, not a whole lot. On the interior, you can continue to paint. We could probably put some graffiti-proof paint on the railroad side if the owner is willing to do something like that. However, it's not a foolproof plan out there.
I'm looking at these. That picture right there, that's your wall, right?
No, that's the adjacent properties.
Well, that's the adjacent.
Ours is the chain link that's over here on the left side. This would be our property. This is the adjacent property.
Thank you.
Commissioner, quickly we forget. Starts with a T. Commissioner Truesdale.
All right. You want to put this 12-foot wall there with the wire, which I in some regards I understand. The wire I have a concern with. Razor wire just creates a whole lot visual issues and kind of, to me, just tells we're giving up on an area. And I think this area is far from giving up. There's a lot of new development there.
Correct.
But I have a real problem approving your wall without some assurances that it's going to be graffiti maintained and kept free. Because those people across the street, or across the tracks, they have a visual, they're going to look at that. And if all you're building is a canvas for the graffiti, we're solving one problem and creating another.
Correct. I totally understand, but we're going to have one nice wall and 55 bad walls.
We got to start someplace.
We got to start someplace. I totally understand. And I believe we're willing to put on graffiti-proof paint. That doesn't stop it totally, but it helps deters it.
But I think it doesn't relieve you of the obligations to continually maintain it. That's I guess what I'm getting at is
Okay.
Code enforcement does require you to maintain and remove graffiti in an appropriate, I guess how it reads, but it's pretty specific, and I don't want you to think that if we approve this and you put the graffiti paint, you're mitigated from having to be a good property owner and deal with it. And I don't know who the adjacent property owner is, but, I'm sure somebody's brought it to their attention. So,
Well, if code enforcement wants to send us a letter, we'll be happy to do it as the property owners.
And if I may comment on that, if you're concluded, Commissioner, I'd prefer that you not wait for code enforcement to send you a letter,
Right.
but rather on your property, when you see graffiti, you immediately go out there and try to abate it, because if you don't, it just continues. I have a quick question, and I know that the surrounding properties are, I believe, the height that you're seeking. Would you consider the 10-foot high wall with the additional 2-foot being the razor?
Prefer to have it 12, but I think we would entertain the idea of 10 foot.
I think be more comfortable with the 10-foot height and the 2-foot razor. That would be my thought.
Okay.
But, I think that protects you, and I'm assuming that the purpose of this is to keep people away from the wall.
Correct.
Okay.
For security purposes, mostly, because right now the property is vacant, and we can't get a tenant because of what the property looks like. Once we paint the property, an unsecured chain link fence, it's going to become this way again. So in order to get tenants, we want to secure the property and guarantee the security.
Can you give some assurances that you'll be diligent on eradicating the graffiti when it's up there?
I believe the owner, I will speak to the owner and say, we really need to do this. This really must happen. And that's about the best I can do.
Right. Well, thank you very much. Those conclude my comments. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, are all the walls along that face the railroad, are they all 12 foot, or is it just your one neighbor that you're showing in the picture?
That I cannot answer. I did not go check the other properties.
Because I'd hate to see all the other walls are 12 feet and yours is down to 10 and the rest of them are 12 feet.
I've got a few photos here, but you can't see a whole lot.
And then the other concern I would have in that regard is, your security there requires all of y'all to be secure. So, for example, if your neighbor's not too secure and it doesn't help your security, but if that whole wall is about 12 feet and you got the wire on it, I think that helps everybody's security.
Actually, if I could put the site plan here, I can answer that question. The property where it has the 12-foot wall, let's see, the property that has the 12-foot wall is this property here. They do have an 8-foot high with razor wire in this location, and they have a 12-foot high razor wire in this location. And then this would be our location for the 12-foot razor wire. And we're also proposing an 8-foot high with razor wire here up to this building, and then here with a gate, also being 8 foot. So our property will be enclosed by a minimum of 8 foot around the sides and at Western Avenue, except for at the railroad it'll be 12. So we feel we have adequate security at that time.
Anyone care to craft a motion? Anyone have any additional thoughts?
I can support the razor wire on the back facing the railroad, but the side gives me some great concern.
I would like to post a comment to this. This being in the back, away from Western, that's a very bad security area. Somebody could just walk right down this little existing alleyway next to an adjacent industrial building, and they could just hop that fence at any time without being seen. Especially if it's only 8 feet.
My preference would be the 10-foot with the 2-foot razor wire, but I'm not making the motion, so I'm looking for a motion here. I'm not sure where to go with this.
I'll make the motion to that accord. In regards to item number 20, variance 40419, make a recommendation for approval subject to all staff conditions. I'll acknowledge agreement with staff, the staff report, but I would change the allowance from a 12-foot high perimeter block wall to a 10-foot high block wall and permit the 2 feet of razor wire on the top of the 10-foot wall.
And I believe there's two additional the additional public works condition, that's part of your motion,
That's
right?
correct. We'll add the one. No, it was just one. We'll provide regular wall openings at intervals appropriate for drainage.
And you're in agreement with all those conditions?
I am in agreement with all those conditions.
So the applicant is in agreement. We have a motion on the floor. A yes vote would be for the variance for a 10-foot wall with a 2-foot razor wire with the additional conditions is read into the record. Everybody understand the motion? Please cast your vote.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, let me ask you, you talk about security with the razor wires. Have you ever thought about light? Maybe lighting the place up for security purposes?
It actually currently has light, and it still gets vandalized.
Thank you.
Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote. Yes vote is for the variance. And that passes.
And this item is final action in the absence of an appeal.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, folks, and good luck to you, sir. If you could please keep the wall free of graffiti, I think we'd all appreciate it.
And I'll pass that along to the property owner. We'll do our best.
Thank you. Next item is agenda item number 21. It is variance 40579. The applicant and the owner is Conan and Jessica Turner, and the application is to allow two proposed accessory structures, Class 1 and Class 2, with a combined floor area of 3,467 square feet, where 809 square feet is the maximum allowed, and to allow an accessory structure, Class 2, to not be aesthetically compatible, metal, with the principal dwelling unit, which is stucco, and to allow both accessory structures to be 13 feet 6 inches, where 13 feet is the maximum allowed at 6308 Jennifer Court in Ward 6. The staff recommendation is for denial. There is a companion item, which is a special use permit, agenda item number 22, 40577, for proposed 1,067 square foot accessory structure, Class 1, with a kitchen in Ward 6, and the staff is recommending denial of that. Can we get a staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing two accessory structures that do not conform to the requirements of Title 1908 for height, floor area, and aesthetic compatibility. Staff is recommending denial of both requests, as the applicant has presented no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance pursuant to Title 1918-070 that would substantiate the requested variance. Please note that there are additional letters of protest and support for these items since publication. Public Works also has comments on this item.
Thank you very much. You're the applicant. If you could state your name and address for the record.
I'm Conan Turner. I live at 6308 Jennifer Court, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89108.
Thank you very much. Would you care to state your case?
I'm here today to propose a project of two structures. One, a mother-in-law quarters for my mother who has multiple sclerosis, and another one for a storage unit because she would be downsizing from the home that she has now to the proposed home that she would be getting, and she would have two additional stuff. And plus, I have a storage unit that I pay for now that I kind of want to consolidate everything and get everything kind of clutter-free on my property. Also, 4 out of the 6 neighbors that I have in my cul-de-sac and have agreed with my process that I was talking about doing as well. As I was pretty much ready to do anything. If I had to build the structure out of another material besides metal as far as the storage unit, to make it more aesthetically pleasing. The structure that my mother wanted to put up was stucco. My house is made of brick, siding, and stucco. It's majority stucco, and I was going to paint to match the structure that she wanted so it would look exactly like my existing home.
Thank you very much. This was advertised as a public hearing. Did anyone care to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Commissioner Moody?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Turner, how long have you lived at this property?
A little under 2 years. It'd be 2 years and about 6 months. Actually,
Yeah.
about 4 months.
And the mother-in-law quarters, it's fairly significant. I mean, we're talking 3 bedrooms plus a kitchen in there.
It's actually 2 bedrooms. It was kind of, when we were looking at it, I don't know which plan you have. The one that I submitted it was a 2-bedroom, and it was 1,067 square feet.
The one I looked at has a master bedroom plus 2 additional bedrooms, a living area, kitchen, bathroom.
Yeah. There was a couple of versions. One where one of the rooms was removed from that 3-bedroom, and it was kind of made into a great room. But it's the same structure that we have in the plans. It's just that they had different versions, kind of basically, because it is a modular home.
And this is a prefab home that
Yes, sir.
you'd be bringing.
Yes.
Did you say a trailer?
No, no, it's a modular home. Basically, that's what they call them. They don't call them a trailer. It's essentially, years ago, people might have called them a double wide or something like that. But this home is a current model. It's a brand new, never lived in home, and it comes stuccoed. It's not something that has siding. It essentially comes. It's going to come looking almost exactly texture-wise as my home. I'm just going to have to paint it to match, which I promised to do.
And I appreciate your honesty, but this 2,500 square foot structure you're planning to use for storage?
Yes, sir.
For you and your mother?
Yes, sir.
So that you don't have to use a storage unit?
Yes, sir. I'm basically trying to have kind of, I know it's overkill, but I would rather have more storage just to store things than less, because I don't want to have a cluttered yard, and my yard is currently starting to become really cluttered, and I just wanted to basically get that, and then also the fact that she will have so much additional stuff, downsizing to what she's going to have now, that I'm not going to have a place to put it sufficiently.
Mr. Chairman, before I state any of my concerns, I think I'd like to hear from some of the other commissioners that might have comments.
Very good. We'll go down. Anyone down at this end? Have any thoughts?
Make a comment.
Yes,
You
Mr.
had
Trump.
some of the documentation said it's a metal building, but you said it's a stucco building.
No, the
exterior.
mother-in-law quarters is stucco. The storage unit is metal, but like I said, some of my neighbors had stated that didn't appeal to them. And when I spoke to them in the process of all this, and I told them if I have to change the storage unit to be made out of wood and then stucco that to match all my existing structures, to make it match for everyone aesthetically, I would do that. But this has happened all in the process, all this, that everyone said, look, we really don't have a problem if you make it stucco to match. They agreed.
I think that the aesthetics, the materials can be addressed.
Yes.
What concerns me more is the existence of what could become a rental unit at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be inconsistent with what's going on in that neighborhood, to have a rental unit in the back.
Yes, sir.
And I wonder how we could get a prohibition against that. I think we've seen somewhere we've had casitas, although this would be certainly a grand casita, where we've had casitas on RE property, if I'm not mistaken. But it has a restriction in it about how it can be used at any time in the future.
Yes, sir. Well, I can.
Mr. Chairman, through you, yes, we have placed on the SUP a condition that states that the accessory structure Class 1 shall not be offered for rent.
Sir, through you, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, sir.
yes, Commissioner Cuddy.
Could we? I'm looking at the floor plan 1, and this would be the mother-in-law's quarters, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm looking at you have 1 bathroom. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. There's a bathroom that would be in the master bedroom, and there's a bathroom right next to the second bedroom. Basically, the plan that we have just eliminates the third bedroom and makes the living area larger. That's it.
Can you point to me the roll-in shower that your mother would need in her condition, where you will roll her in to use the shower versus the bathtub?
On this model, on that one that we have displayed, actually, can I get something right here? Is that possible?
Yeah.
While he's doing that, through you, Mr. Chairman, it seems like we're going through 2 or 3 different plans. Are we looking at which plan are we looking that's stamped and that's on the application
That's a
tonight?
very good question, Commissioner Goins.
The plan on the screen is what was submitted with the application. That is the one for consideration at this time.
And this was the one that shows actually 3 bedrooms.
That is correct. If the applicant wishes to amend that, we can always do that also.
And Mr. Rankin, the draft that you sent to all the commissioners, is this a revision of that, or are we looking at the same thing that was sent to the commissioners?
Same item. We haven't received a revised
Okay.
site plan, the one date stamp 12/23/2010.
Very good. Sir, if you'd continue, I
Okay.
think Commissioner Quinn had a question.
Basically, this is kind of something that I was given from the manufacturer, so you got to bear with me on this. Where she would come in, this tub area is actually bigger than what we actually purchased. What they gave me was basically kind of like a general plan of this thing, but it's 95% precise, except the bathrooms are different because these things are made to order. Versus then, like it's like a brand new car. You go to purchase it, you can get whatever options you like. This one is kind of the vague, general base description, but it would be right here, and the sink is right here, and then I believe on the one that she's purchasing, because this is not the exact one per se. I think the shower is over here, but where she would shower at, where she would come in, is going to be right here. Answer the question.
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Yes, ma'am.
I just know that a person in a wheelchair needs a shower that's for their needs.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't see that on your plans here, so I'm kind of curious. But I'm going to let my other commissioners make a comment because my comment was strictly the ADA. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's there. I'm sorry, I couldn't
Thank
do
you
that
very
exactly.
much. Commissioner Moody, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Turner, let me state my concerns. Number one, you're asking for this storage unit alone to be about 2,500 square feet when code would allow for about 800 feet.
Yes.
I think to use that because you need more storage space is an inappropriate land use, which is one of the questions that I have to, one of the considerations I have to deal with today. It's not aesthetically compatible with your principal dwelling unit because it's metal, not stucco. You're asking for a 3-bedroom, over 1,000 square feet in structure for your mother-in-law's quarters. Combined, you're asking for almost 3,500 square feet of additional floor space there. Not doubling it, not tripling it, but quadrupling the size of what we allow under the code. You may be able to see where I'm going on this.
I understand.
I have some real concerns. And now you're coming in telling us that you have a change in plans as to actually what you want to build for the mother-in-law's quarters. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to obey this. I'd like you to come back with some more definite plans so we know exactly what it is you're looking at. And I'd also ask you to hold a neighborhood meeting before you come back. And I'm wondering if you'd be willing to do that. If you're not, my vote, I can't support this the way it is right now. I may be able to once I can talk to your neighbors and see your plans, but under the circumstances, I'm sorry, but I cannot. And so my question to you is, would you be willing to obey this?
Yes, I spoke to one of these gentlemen today about having a neighborhood meeting, and also I can get the exact pinpoint, everything planned for that as far as the mother-in-law quarters.
Okay, thank you. And if I may just expand on that, Commissioner Moody, I don't know how I would vote when this comes forward, but clearly there have been several comments expressed of concern. Quite frankly, it looks like a second house on the parcel, and an additional very large storage space. My thought is you may want to consider a smaller unit. It's a lovely mother-in-law unit, but it looks more like a mother-in-law and a shoe unit. I mean, it's pretty big. I'm thinking that maybe you might want to reduce that footprint. But regardless, do we want, and Commissioner, or I'm sorry, Director, would it be appropriate to obey this, to strike this, to what would be the appropriate action in this case?
You have an application before you with what the applicant has basically desired to construct on this property. My recommendation is that you take action on the application in front of you and go forward through the process.
So your suggestion is to up or down vote, or to obey the matter?
To take a vote on the matter. This request would go forward to City Council. They would rule on the matter as well.
So your recommendation is to vote, and Commissioner Moody, you're suggesting that it might be more appropriate to hold it and allow him to talk with his neighbors.
As I see it, we could go one of two alternative ways. Either obey it now and come back in front of the Planning Commission, or we could take the vote now and you could hold a neighborhood meeting prior to the City Council meeting coming up.
And I would just confirm that there is adequate time to hold a neighborhood meeting between today and council action in March.
Okay.
It's up to the commissioners. How would you like to proceed?
With that understanding, my motion for the reasons stated will be for denial.
Okay, we
Mr.
have
Chairman,
a motion,
Public Works.
and we have additional condition from Public Works if approved, correct?
Yes, if approved, we'd like to add the condition that states the applicant shall meet with the flood control section of the Department of Public Works for assistance with establishing finished floor elevations and drainage paths for this site prior to submittal of construction plans, the issuance of permits or grading permits, whichever may occur first. Provide and improve all drainage ways as recommended.
Thank you. So we have an additional condition, and when this goes forward, that would be added to it. We have a motion, and
Before we vote, I'd simply
Yes.
like to make a comment, and one is that a 2,400 square foot storage unit is tremendous in size. And second, my mother-in-law is thrilled at an 800 square foot casita.
Can I respond with that? I took her to see it. She did not like it.
Oh.
And that's if we all have mothers. That was enough said. So I'm only here because it's not enough room for her. So she's being quiet. That's very good for her.
My heart goes out to you, young man.
Yes, I'm just trying to take care of my mother, and she needs as much space as she can get. The storage unit, we might be able to bend. The casita is basically, it is what it is on that, and I hate to say that, and I'm sorry for the discrepancies with the plans, but it's sufficient for her. She's approved of it, and
we're looking at it from a land use perspective. So
Yes.
there's a motion on the floor, and I think the recommendation was to have some sort of a meeting between now and City Council. Was that correct?
And I can
That's
do
correct, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
So we have a motion for denial. A yes vote would be for the denial. Please cast your vote. And that is denied. So,
And that item will go forward to City Council on March the 16th.
and I think we have a companion item.
Mr. Chairman, again, for reasons stated, and unless there's more discussion to be had on item 22, my motion is for denial.
Thank you. We have a motion for denial for the special use permit. Please cast your vote. And that is denied.
And again, both of those items will go to City Council on March the 16th.
All righty.
And you'll speak with your neighbors in the interim, and thank you very much.
All righty.
SUP 40520. The applicant and the owner is Fremont Place LLC for a 100 square foot accessory packaged liquor off-sale establishment in conjunction with an existing 3,553 square foot convenience store at 228 North Las Vegas Boulevard in Ward 5. The staff recommends approval. Can we have the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed use is less than 10% of the total retail floor space of the establishment and will not require additional parking. The proposed use can be conducted in a harmonious and compatible manner within the existing retail establishment and with the adjacent commercial uses. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. And you're the applicant. Can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Nissan Kuragli for Fremont Place LLC, 11007 Fishers Island Street, Las Vegas, Nevada 89141.
Thank you. And I'm assuming you're in agreement with the...
I agree.
Okay.
But I believe number 8...
I'm sorry, and staff recommends that we delete condition number 8. It's related to beer wine coolers.
Thank you. This is advertised as a public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I would like to acknowledge that I received a text right before I arrived here this evening. I'm assuming you have not met with the business leaders in the surrounding area?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Apparently, they met this afternoon, the East Fremont Business Alliance or Association, and I don't know whether they took a vote, but they have concerns about this, and I guess it only recently came to their attention, or tonight was their regularly scheduled meeting. They've asked that I make a comment that they would like an opportunity to talk with you and to determine what this application is, and they asked if this possibly could be obeyed and that you would meet with them. So throwing that out there, it was a late submission, so and my other question is, it's I would strongly urge you to meet with these other businesses that you share commerce with. It may have mitigated whatever concerns they have at this point.
I was not aware of that, somebody, because there is no objection to this. And what we're doing is we're bringing 7-Eleven in that space. And according to 7-Eleven, that's why we were asking for the special use permit.
Right, but you're asking for packaged liquor. And what I'm telling you is...
We had that before, since 2002. The packaged liquor has always been there.
But then it was closed, and that
it was closed
expunged,
last
right?
year because the tenant left, and we put it in an active. That was the recommendation that they given us, to close it until we go ahead and proceed with 7-Eleven, and then we can reopen it again. So that's what we did. That's why it was closed. Otherwise, it's been open since 2002.
I'm just the messenger. I'm
Right.
suggesting
Well, I
that
don't know what to do because we have to go along with the 7-Eleven because they have a timeline. So I don't understand I don't know if we abate this now, that's going to postpone.
it would postpone it. I'm just telling you that if it's all the members were present, that's the El Cortez, all of those businesses up and down Fremont Street that have recently opened. I don't know whether they took the vote, but apparently they were unanimous in their concern. They didn't know anything about this, and they'd like to be able to talk with you and have an opportunity to see what this specific item is. So,
What I can do is, if you like to move it forward for the city, and in the meantime, I'd like to go ahead and speak to them, and if they have any concern, they can show up at the city.
well, they do have concerns. I'm just the messenger. So
No, well, again, I'm trying to work with you, but I don't know how to do it, so not to prolong the process.
I would suggest that when you have these applications, like a special use permit, you talk with the other businesses that are in your surrounding area. That's all.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I should do that. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Right.
So,
did I open this up? Anyone here to speak? I think I did. So no one's here to speak. If I didn't, I'm opening it, and I'll close it. So, commissioners?
I have a question for staff, if I could, through the chair. Accessory packaged liquor, is that, forgive my ignorance, is that distilled liquors more so than beer and wine?
Yes, it would be distilled alcohol and in addition to
Vodka
beer
and whiskey
wine.
and gin and stuff
Correct.
like that? Is that within the typical product sales of a 7-Eleven? I haven't noticed that. I mean, I'm not looking for it, but I haven't noticed
There are convenience stores that have that use, and there are those that do not.
So maybe. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner,
So what we have is we have a car wash that's going to have a 7-Eleven in it, correct?
Correct.
And you want to sell the hard liquor.
Correct.
And now Mr. Chairman says we get a message from business owners in the area that have some concern because Commissioner, do you know if they're outside the notice area?
I can only assume, I don't know what the notice area includes, but the East Fremont Business Association is a conglomeration of all the businesses down there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they all participated. I attended their meetings, and for whatever reason, this wasn't on their radar until tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking at the radius here, and it looks like it's Mr. Rankin, is this a 750-foot notice radius here?
It's a 1,500-foot radius.
Okay, so
all alcohol uses are noticed at 1,500
right.
feet.
And so, but I understand that group has a concern, but I don't know if that has any bearing on me wanting to entertain holding this item. This is out on Las Vegas Boulevard and Stewart, so it's kind of off the beaten path of the Fremont East. I probably could guess what that organization's concerns are, but I think we should move forward with it without a hold.
Okay. Commissioner Truesdale?
The applicants asked for item 8 to be removed, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm only going by the history. There used to be a 7-Eleven a block south.
Correct.
Or 2 blocks south. I may be off, but at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. And one of the biggest problems with that particular business was the sale of singles and the loitering and the inability of 7-Eleven to keep the street clean and make the effort to make that a better thing. And it wasn't until they left that corner was the entertainment district kind of starting to take shape. So I would have a concern. In fact, I wouldn't support removing that item from this. The other part of it is the city has made great strides to recruit a business that's going to replace this building right here, a downtown campus. And the fact that you're looking to start that off by, another convenience store and wanting to sell liquor for, we sell these singles and stuff, again, I wouldn't support it. This particular location came before us a couple times historically asking for liquor sales when it was operated previously, and it's been turned down every time by city council, I believe.
Well, we do have a packaged liquor license right now.
No.
We have till November of a few months ago.
Correct.
And the reason was that because, again, it was a recommendation from the city to say go ahead and put it in inactive mode, until we go ahead and with the 7-Eleven, and then we'll go back to it again.
Just to clarify, the use that is currently permitted on that location is liquor to be sold within a gift basket only. The special use permit approved gift baskets only, so therefore only a small amount of liquor could be contained, and it had to be in a minimum size and container of a gift basket with a minimum price.
It was a rather creative mess that obviously wasn't successful, because if it was, you'd still be operating there, I'm sure.
Well, the reason...
But I really believe in this area. I believe in what's going to be happening on City Hall. I think there's some great things coming here, and I'm not going to support your application to go backwards It's not to say that 7-Eleven hasn't been a good corporate citizen elsewhere, but the way they handled their downtown operation, they just failed to police it to where everybody. I've talked to everybody along that block about bringing another convenience store down there at various times, and they go, no, we don't want this anymore. We don't want this again. So in that regard, I can't support your application.
Well, I'm the one who's going to be running the place, and I am aware of what's happening downtown with Zappos coming in, and the reason we are asking for the liquor license is so we can accommodate the streamline, because it's turned to from condo to the apartment buildings, which is going to be Ogden, and also from the city. So this way, if they're interested to come in, I like to make it a place that they can come in and get everything they need. And I'm the one who's going to be running it, and I'm going to make sure that it's run properly. I understand your concern.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I can just tell you now, there's enough liquor down there for people
Not
to get.
buying.
And it's just the concept of car wash and buying hard liquor to me doesn't jive. I think you come in there to get your car wash, you come in there to get a service, and you leave. You're in downtown Las Vegas on Stewart and Las Vegas Boulevard, and on any one of those corners you can get liquor from the Entertainment District East all the way down through Fremont Street. So, and I think those folks at the Streamline probably already know where they go to get it because they've been here prior to this. They're there now, and this use is not even open yet. So I just don't buy that. And through that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion.
I'm ready for a motion. And before we go ahead, make the motion.
On item 23, I'm going to move for denial of SUP 40520.
There's a motion for denial of agenda item number 23, SUP 40520. And I'm assuming it's the discussion that we've had this evening that you don't feel that it's met the standard for approval. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Very good. Motion for...
Are we talking about the liquor part of it or the beer and wine?
He's made a motion for denial because of the discussion that we've had over the last 15 minutes. He doesn't believe, I believe, Commissioner, correct me if I misspeak, I think his motion is for denial in that he doesn't believe it meets the parameters and isn't appropriate at that location.
That would be correct.
Totally for any kind of alcoholic beverages?
Your application is for a special use permit for packaged liquor. He's
Okay.
recommending denial of that application, of that special use permit.
I understand.
So, we have a motion on the floor for a denial. A yes vote is for denial. Please cast your vote. And that has been denied.
And this item will go forward to City Council on March the 16th with a recommendation of denial.
Thank you.
And sir, just for your clarification,
Yes.
my hope was that you would have agreed to hold this and meet with all the other stakeholders in hopes that you could have come to some resolution or at least explain to them what you were doing or perhaps have had a compromise. So I'm assuming you'll make your argument at City Council.
But again, I'd like to go and see them, prior to that if I could.
That's your option. I would strongly recommend that.
They're
your neighbors.
Again, I didn't know that, and I like to do that. But if you give me the information who I should see, because I have no information who they are, where they are.
All the downtown East Fremont Business Alliance. There's a whole group of them, and perhaps the city can. But I just suggest you go up and down Fremont Street, and they all participate. So you may want to contact perhaps the representatives for the El Cortez or any of the businesses down there. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item is agenda item numbers 24 and related 25, special use permit 40552. The applicant and the owner is Sunrise Mountain View Hospital, Inc. for a proposed helipad at 3100 North Tenaya Way in Ward 1. The staff recommendation is for approval, and the companion item is agenda item number 25, staff development or site development review 40551 It's for a proposed 33,717 square foot 12-bed expansion and helipad in conjunction with an existing hospital. Can we have a staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed development is consistent in appearance and massing with the existing hospital, and the helipad has been mitigated with a suitable location at the south end of the site. Staff does recommend approval of the request for both applications.
Thank you. And if you could identify yourself for the record, name and address.
My name is Brad Lipsy, 1935 21st Avenue South, Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you. And I'm assuming you're in agreement with the staff recommendation for approval, and are there conditions on that, Mr. Rankin?
There are conditions of approval on both
Have
the
you read
SUP
all the conditions, and
SDR.
do you agree?
We have. We met with staff and agree with all the conditions.
Very good. Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Would anybody like to speak on this matter? Please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'm real excited about this. I live right next to UMC Hospital, and I watch that helicopter land all the time, and it's nice to know that there's going to be another place for them to come. My one question is, will there be a trauma unit at this hospital as well, bringing in traumas, or just...
No, there's not. This is just to accommodate the existing flights.
Okay. Well, if my other commissioners have nothing to say about it, I'm going to make the motion for approval.
Before you do,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
go ahead. I'm
the
sorry.
applicant.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I apologize if I, just for my own understanding, when I met with staff, they told me that if the commission was inclined to approve it, that there was an opportunity for this to be final action.
That would be up to the planning director.
I believe the request has been that this go forward to City Council.
Okay.
And Commissioner, I know you have a motion on the floor. I would like to ask, is it Mr. Forbes in the audience? Is that Bob Forbes with this application? No? No? Okay, very good. We have a motion on the floor, so the motion is for approval. Please cast your vote.
Moving on to I'm sorry. Thank you.
And post, that is approved. And the next item, please.
Thank you.
The next item is for a 33,717 square foot 12-bed expansion, which goes in conjunction with this helipad, and everything matches the existing hospital. I drove by, and it's my pleasure to make the motion for approval on this as well, SDR 40551.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Quinn has made a motion for approval. The applicant is in agreement with all the conditions. A yes vote would be for approval, and please cast your vote at this time. And that is approved.
And again, these items will go forward to City Council on March the 16th.
Thank you very much. We're moving forward. I believe agenda item number 26, special use permit 40562. The applicant is Cash America International, Inc. The owner, LM Jones, LLC, for a 3,600 square foot expansion of an existing pawn shop with waivers to allow a 0-foot distance separation from a residential use where 200 feet is required, and a 0-foot distance separation from a financial institution specified use where 1,000 feet is required at 5190 West Lake Mead Boulevard in Ward 5. The staff recommendation for this is approval, and we have a companion item, agenda item number 27, the site development review 40563 for a 3,600 square foot expansion of an existing pawn shop at the same location at 5190 West Lake Mead Boulevard. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed expansion requires approval of an amended special use permit as the floor area will be greater than 50% of the original approval. At the time of the previous approval of special use permit U7598, the distance separation requirements from a residential use and another financial institution specified were not in place. As the use is existing and the distance separation will not be reduced as a result of the request, Staff can support the requested waivers. The related site development plan review is required due to an increase in floor area by more than 10%. Staff recommends approval with conditions as the request is consistent with Title 19 and is compatible with surrounding uses. If denied, the pawn shop use will remain as originally approved under Special Use Permit U-7598. Please note that there are additional letters of protest for this item since publication.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, before you start, I'm going to have to abstain on items 26 and 27. From the paperwork, it appears that one of the principals of the applicant is Ernest Becker Jr. As a lawyer, I was involved in extensive litigation against him, so out of an abundance of caution, I will be abstaining.
Very good. Noted abstention. Ms. Lazovich, state your name and address for the record, your Southern Nevada address, I'm assuming.
Yes. I will be leaving for Carson City tomorrow. Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road, here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Superpon. On the overhead is a picture of what the expanded store would look like. We do appreciate staff working with us and their recommendation of approval. We agree with all the conditions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This was advertised as a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I thank you, Ms. Lazarevich, for meeting with me the other day and going completely through this application. I will be supporting this application. There were no overwhelmingly opposition to it. There was one person in opposition that doesn't even live in the notice area, but this particular location, although it has that name Pawn Shop, has been a good tenant in this area. It's actually more of a retail than it is a pawn shop with the product line that it carries, and I think it supports this area well. So without any further ado, I'll move for approval of item 26 SUP 40562, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
We have a motion on the floor, and as a matter of disclosure, Ms. Lazovich also took the opportunity and the time to explain the circumstance of this, and I appreciate that very much. Everything that she indicated here on the record was substantially what she indicated to me earlier. So thank you very much for your time.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I also met with Ms. Lazovich, and she did the exact same thing for me.
Very good. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor, Commissioner Goins, for approval. A yes vote is for approval of the SUP. Please cast your vote. And that has been approved. Commissioner Goins, a companion item.
Move for approval of item 27 SDR 40563, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Motion for approval, agenda item number 27. You've heard the motion. Please cast your vote. Yes vote is for approval. And that too passes.
Thank you very much.
And these items are final action in the absence of an appeal.
Wonderful.
And
And I will
have a
see you
fun
in
time
June if
in
the session
Carson
is
City.
over in June.
I hope you're just as nice as you are tonight when you come back from the
I
legislative
hope
session.
I am too.
Thank you.
We're moving forward, and we're getting there very quickly, and I thank everyone for helping me this evening. Agenda item number 28, special use permit 40564. The applicant is Sequoia Electric. The owner is Sagebrush Property Ventures, and it's an application for a rental store with outside storage at 4485 North Rainbow Boulevard. That's in Ward 4. The staff recommends denial.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain on this item as much as a partner of mine owns the adjacent property.
Thank you very much. If the clerk would please note Commissioner Truesdale's abstention. We have a companion item on agenda item number 29, and that's special use permit 40. Oh, it's not a companion item. I beg your pardon. So standalone special use permit, agenda item number 28. We have a staff report, please.
This request is related to the amended request for a general plan amendment, rezoning, variance, and site plan. These requests were considered by the Planning Commission on October 10, 2010, at which time the Commission recommended denial. and they are scheduled to be considered by the City Council on March 16th meeting, along with this current request for a special use permit for the rental store with outside storage. The applicant has indicated that the previous request entitlements will be amended at that time to reflect the following, that the request for the general plan amendment will be for GC general commercial instead of the light industrial research. The rezoning will be amended from C2 to CM, and the variance in the site plan will remain unchanged. But the use will be amended from a heavy machinery and equipment rental service to the use that's before you tonight for the rental store with outside storage. Staff recommended denial of the previous request for general plan amendment, rezoning, and variance and site plan review, as it was determined that the requested land use designation and zoning district were too intense for the surrounding area, and the proposed use would not be compatible with the existing surrounding use. Staff recommends denial of the current request as the use is not compatible or harmonious for the surrounding land uses, and the amended request for general plan amendment to general commercial and C2 zoning district will remain too intense for the surrounding area. Please note that we've received additional protests after publication.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
State
Chairman,
your name and address for the
Commissioners,
record.
Again, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. Richard Gallegos, 3005 West Horizon Ridge Parkway, here on behalf of the applicant. At this time, we would respectfully request to hold this for 30 days to reevaluate our need for the special use permit, and again ask to hold this for 30 days so we can go back and see if there really is a need at this point.
This was advertised as a public hearing. Anybody here to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, would you entertain an abeyance?
Mr. Chairman, if I might. Mr. Chairman, I would go ahead and move to obey item number 28 SUP 40564 for 30 days as requested by the applicant.
Very good. We have a motion to obey it until our next regularly scheduled meeting. So if no further ado, the motion's for abeyance. A yes vote is to obey it. Please cast your vote. And the abeyance request has been approved.
And this item will be held until the March 8th Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also want to thank our neighbors for hanging out with me tonight to ensure that this happens. So we'll look forward to continue working with them.
Thank you very much, folks, for sitting through the evening. Agenda item number 29 is special use permit 40575. The applicant is Progressive Choices, Inc., the owner Fisher Brothers Las Vegas, LLC, for a proposed 15,669 square foot social service provider at 3000, 3010, and 3020 Regal Avenue, Ward 1. The staff is recommending approval on this. And if we could have a staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant proposes to provide employment assistance for the developmentally disabled. The proposed social service provider use complies with all Title 19 requirements, and the use can be conducted in a manner that is harmonious and compatible with the existing and surrounding development and land uses. Staff recommends approval.
Very good. If you could state your name and address for the record and basically state your case. If I'm not mistaken, the staff has recommended approval, and one of my questions would be, have you read all of the report, and are you in agreement with all of their conditions?
Yes,
so
I am.
If you could state your name and address for the record.
Kim Hogue McCord, 7420 Patrol Street, North Las Vegas.
And you were going to speak as well, sir?
I'm her husband, William McCord, 7420 Petra.
Same address.
I'm just support.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you've read the report and you agree with the
Yes, I am, sir.
if approved conditions? And,
yes, sir.
Okay, very good. This was advertised as a public hearing. Did anyone wish to speak on this matter? I don't see anybody wishing to speak on this matter, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And commissioners, do we have any comments or questions?
Just a question. Are you a nonprofit?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay. May I ask where you receive your funding?
We're state funded from DRC,
Okay.
Desert Regional Center.
Okay. You don't get any funding through DETR or through Workforce Connections?
No.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion for approval of SUP 40575, and I thank you for the service you do for the community. Thank you.
Very good. We have a motion on the floor for approval of agenda item number 29. A yes vote is for approval with all conditions. Please cast your vote. And that has been approved.
Thank you.
And this item will go forward to the March 16th City Council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for your patience. Agenda item number 30 is a site development review, 40435. The applicant and owner is Third and Gas Partners, LLC, for the conversion of a single-family residence to a 2,086 square foot wholesale showroom facility with waivers of the downtown Centennial Plan streetscape and Ville2 line requirements to allow a 7-foot wide sidewalk where 10 feet is required, and a front facade with less than 70% alignment along the property line at 310 Gas. That's in Ward 3, and the staff is recommending approval. Can we have a staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is for the conversion of 2 existing residential structures to a wholesale showroom facility. Approval of this request is recommended as it meets the objectives of the redevelopment plan and the downtown Centennial Plan. If denied, the structures will continue to retain an exclusively residential land use, and the existing rezoning under resolution of intent for C2 general commercial zoning will not be exercised. Please note that there are additional letters of protest and support for this item since publication.
Thank you very much. You, the applicant, if you could state your name and
Yes,
address
sir.
for the record. And
My name is Lynn Baker. My address is 2486 Silver Beach Drive in Henderson, Nevada 89052. And we accept the staff's conditions of approval, if I
Very
read
good.
that correctly.
Thank you very much. This was advertised as a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Anyone have any thoughts or motion or?
Seeing none, I'm ready to make a motion regarding item number 30, which is site development review 40435. I will acknowledge our agreement with the staff's report and findings, and therefore make a motion for approval of this item.
Thank you very much. We have a motion for approval. Agenda item number 30. A yes vote is for the approval. Please cast your vote. And that has been approved.
And this item is final action in the absence of appeal within 10 days.
All right, sir. Thank
Good
you.
luck to you, sir,
Thank
and
you.
thank you. Our last item is, our last regular item is director's business. Agenda item number 31, DIR 40165. The applicant and owner is the City of Las Vegas, and this is an update on long-range planning items. Mr. Director?
For our monthly presentation to you on long-range planning items, what I'd like to speak about briefly this evening is regional planning efforts that the Long Range Division is engaged in. One of the functions of the Long Range Division is to coordinate regional activities, and part of that includes staffing the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition. Just by way of information, the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition, or SNRPC, was established by state legislation in 1999 and implemented by an interlocal agreement in 2000. And essentially it has 5 purposes. Number 1 is to develop a regional policy plan. It's also intended to coordinate master plans among the different jurisdictions here in the area. It also deals with disposal of federal land and resolves annexation and boundary issues, and then finally recommends efficiencies in government service. In terms of the actual organization of the SNRPC, the member agencies are obviously the City of Las Vegas, City of Henderson, North Las Vegas, Clark County, Boulder City, and then the Clark County School District all serve as members of the organization. It's organized with a technical committee that is made up of essentially the city managers of the municipalities and a representative from the school district, and then also has a coalition board which is made up of elected officials from each of the member agencies. Representing the City of Las Vegas, we have Mayor Goodman and Councilwoman Tarkanian representing the city on the coalition board. In addition, there are work groups that function in carrying out the work plan for the SNRPC. The organization itself is funded by the different member agencies, and we have one staff member, a secretary, who supports the SNRPC, coordinates the agendas, and so forth. One of the important functions of the SNRPC is its annual work plan, and the SNRPC is currently in the process of adopting its 2011 work plan. What I wanted to do, I'll pass out copies of the work plan to you here, and saving a copy for the clerk as well, which I will try and deliver to you. Thank you very much. Just to let you know some of the things that the SNRPC is working on as part of its work plan. Number one is the development of a regional open space plan, and this is something that's been very important to us as we coordinate not only our trail efforts between the different jurisdictions, but also coordinating regional space throughout the Las Vegas Valley. Another one of the important items that it is working on is sustainability, trying to coordinate the sustainability efforts of the individual member agencies. Again, because we all work and live here closely in the Las Vegas Valley, it's important that we do coordinate those efforts. You'll see that 3 of the items on the work plan relate to population forecasting and land use projections. Number one, this helps us to coordinate our population forecasts throughout the Las Vegas Valley. And then secondly, these figures and these forecasts are very important in terms of projections used by the Regional Transportation Commission in terms of its ridership and planning its routes, and then other agencies throughout the valley, the Water Authority being another one that uses that information. Another thing that has been addressed by the SNRPC in the past is looking at an economic development plan for the valley in terms of diversifying our economy here. Obviously, we've been concerned with the current economic conditions, and diversification is something that's first and foremost on the minds of many of our elected officials here. Another thing that we have been working on is an update of the regional policy plan. The regional policy plan essentially establishes goals and objectives for all of the member agencies here. And one of the things that we do is, as we develop our own individual master plans, is we review those for conformance with the regional policy plan. So just for example, over the past couple of years, we've brought you a number of updates to the master plan elements. And before we bring those to you, we actually review those with the regional agency to make sure they're in conformance with the regional plan before we bring those forward to you. So we just wanted to make you aware that's one of the things that the Regional Planning Coalition does, is review the city's individual master plans. There's a couple of other items that we're working on this year. One of the reports that came out of a recent sustainability study was relative to the quality of life here in the valley. And so the SNRPC has established a work group to discuss that issue and come up with recommendations. Another thing that has come forward is based on the action of the legislature in the past session. They had recommended that we look at consolidation of services. And so the SNRPC has been looking at 2 things that continue on as work groups for the coming year. One is community shared calendar for arts and recreational events here throughout the valley. And then secondly, looking at business licensing coordination. We have representatives of all the member agencies looking at our current business license categories and looking at ways that we might be able to facilitate or simplify that process for business owners who operate in more than one jurisdiction. So again, this is just an informational item for you this evening. No action is required, but we wanted to make you aware of, again, some of the things that the Long Range Planning Division does in terms of its regional coordination and also the actions and activities that are being taken by the Regional Planning Coalition.
Thank you very much. Were there any questions of the director this time? No? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we come to that portion of our agenda for citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of any discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time allotted to any single speaker, may be limited. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak at this time? I see no one.
Apparently, Mr. Farlow has had a little trouble arriving, so should we delay the meeting quietly?
Perhaps next time we'll get
Okay,
double
well-
time. Thank you very much. Thank you all for helping me to run a smooth meeting, and meeting adjourned.
Steve.